Good morning. By looking at my car windows, you'd think it was winter, but it's a little chilly this morning on this July 13th morning. I am a little crunched for time, so I'm going to be brief. Yeah, right. I usually try to be brief, and it doesn't work out that way, but I am crunched for time this morning. So I want to talk to you about motivation. And then in the following weeks, I think I want to look at some different people in Scripture and pull out some specifics from their life uh, because of their motivation, and look into that a little bit. So, motivation, what is it? It is the desire, the pull, the reason. Um it's the thing that makes you do what you do. Sometimes that's not always a positive, sometimes it's a negative. Um, the things that you do are not always positive. But I think what our motivation is generally positive. Um, Sometimes it's positive for us, and doesn't mean it's positive for somebody else. But the reason that we're doing something, the the why behind it, is usually a positive. Um, even the people, let's say cutters, somebody that's contemplating suicide, it's because they hurt. There's something going on inside, and they don't want to feel that pain anymore, so they cause themselves this pain, or um, they they don't know what to do. And so, in order to escape and not hurt, confusion, um, they end it all. Um, so anyway, motivation, the reason behind why we do what we do. Um, and so the example that I thought of was, as kids, our motivation was, maybe somebody said, if you do this, I'll give you a reward, give you a piece of candy. And so you do it and you get that reward. And maybe the reward was video games. You get to play some video games for a while. So you play your video games. As you get older, you got chores that have to be done. And to help motivate, parents will give an allowance. And the thing about that is, and there's nothing wrong with rewards, there's nothing wrong with getting paid. We go to work and get a paycheck, right? Um, Nothing wrong with that. But why, what it develops. So over time, we develop this expectation that everything that we do should be rewarded, should be paid. Um, so then what happens when the reward or the payment in our eyes isn't good enough? We don't do a good enough job then. We just decide, I'm not going to do the job at all. If this is how you're going to take care of me, how you're going to reward me, what I'm going to get paid, forget it. And so while rewards are good, I don't think it should be the overarching. I know it should not be the overarching motivation. And this is why I know this. My dad uh, had the job that he retired from. He started out in this area as a maintenance guy. And then he became one of the guys that was way more important, bigger job. And, and I'm sure he got into the job. He enjoyed it when he started, but by the time he was getting close to retirement, he hated it. And he told me, whatever you go into, make sure you love what you're doing. Good advice. And I did different jobs growing up. Worked in an ice cream shop for a while. I enjoyed that. Worked at a Subway for a while. I enjoyed that. But as time went on, the necessity to have a paycheck was there, and I ended up with jobs that I didn't necessarily enjoy. The job was there, and my dad had taught me well, and I got a job. I need the paycheck, so I got a job. But this is what I learned, is that if I'm just going to find the job, the doing, the thing that I love, if people treat me wrong and things don't work out, or I do that thing for a long time, I love this thing, I love doing this, but I find out over time I don't love it as much as I thought I loved it, then you're done and you're stuck and you're doing this thing that you don't love anymore. So what I learned was that my motivation had to change. It couldn't be about the paycheck, and it couldn't even be about what I was doing. What I'm asking you this morning is, what is the unmovable motivation in you? I'll give you another example. I played baseball as a little kid. I went to Little League, and I can't tell you much about my positive experience in Little League. I can tell you to this day, I don't enjoy baseball. I'll play like with my kids, or if we're doing a church thing or something and we're just playing some baseball, I can do that. But if it's serious in any way, shape, or form, I'm out. Because this 1 year that I played in Little League, I only played one, my coach yelled and cussed and was a jerk. He was just highly competitive. His son was on the team, and so he wanted to coach, and I totally understand that, but he was way too competitive for our age group. You get into high school and those guys are in it and they're playing for the big wins and stuff like that. Maybe he'd have been a good coach, but nope. And then we had guys on the team that just weren't nice. Then right at the end of the season, I'm up to bat and the pitcher pitches the ball and hits me with the ball. I saw that lovely individual years later, and he says, "You're the guy that I hit with the baseball." I was like, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, you were covering over the plate." Thank you. Appreciate that. So, never play baseball again. But basketball, I cannot tell you how young I was when I got a hold of the basketball for the first time. It was before I played baseball. And just the years of guys bigger than me, older than me, handing me a basketball and letting me shoot, playing with me, making it something that I would love and enjoy. And I got tall, and I didn't necessarily get strong until I was in high school. I was just a long, lanky guy. But the more I played basketball, the more I fell in love with it. And I wanted to play professional basketball. I cannot tell you who I couldn't beat in my hometown. It was just me and them one on one. I don't know who I couldn't beat. And so then we had a game one year. We weren't a very good team, but we lost, and our coach was fuming mad. And he says, "You guys are going to run lines till you puke." And we ran, and we ran, and we ran. And I said, "I'm not going to run till I puke." And I'm working hard, but I got to a point where I'm stopping, I'm resting. And I stopped at the one side, and my coach yelled at me, "Get moving, Royal, start running." And in my mind, I thought, if this is what it takes to play professional basketball, I'm done. I love this game, but I don't love it that much. And that was the day. I remember it clear as a bell. I decided I will not play professional basketball. That dream that I had, I just stopped. And that was okay, because my reason for stopping was I still wanted to love the game of basketball. And I do to this day. I love coaching, I love playing. So, what is motivation in Scripture? What is God's motivation? We talked, I think it was a couple weeks ago, about Paul and his letter to the Corinthians, and him saying, I didn't come to you with persuasive words. I came with power. But he says, I chose to know nothing among you but Christ and him crucified. I think we can say that that was what Paul took on as his motivation, Christ and him crucified. Well, what does that mean? Let's jump to John 3:16. For God so loved the world. The beginning of that verse talks about God's motivation. He so loved the world. What did that motivation cause? He so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. That is huge. He so loved that he gave his Son. If a person reads through Scripture and believes that God's motivation is judgment and messing with humanity, they have completely missed the point, and I don't know what Bible they were reading. To look at these Old Testament places, the prophets, when God was pronouncing judgment through these prophets, you got to read this and see the love of God, that he is saying, please come back to me. So, translated to you and I, what does God expect our motivation to be? Jesus is they're trying to mess with him, and they try and trick him and get him into trouble with the people. This'll make somebody ticked off at him, because nobody can agree on what the greatest law is. So Jesus, what do you think the greatest law is? What is the greatest law? What should be our motivation? And maybe I'm stretching that a little bit, but I don't think so. The two greatest commandments. Most of you guys are familiar with that. Hopefully, the one viewer I've got on this morning agrees with that. To love God and to love people. Love should be our motivation. We were created in the image of God. What is that image? I believe that that image is the image of love. There's nothing else that he created that was created with love. Animals have instincts and all that stuff, but there's no love. We were the only thing, humanity is the only creation that was created in love, created by love and to love. I believe that the image of God that we were created in is love. So if our very identity, we were created in the image of love, and the greatest commandment, the greatest things that we can do is to love God and to love people. And in those two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. When it comes to why I go to work, it's to love God and to love people. Paycheck, not an angry boss, not angry coworkers, not a lousy, stinky, hard, unenjoyable job, because the joy of the Lord is my strength. If that is truly our motivation, then we can do anything. We've talked about some guys that have been tortured, killed for Christ, for their beliefs. Their motivation was love. They are in love with Jesus. So I am going to wrap it up here. I want to challenge you, even this morning, if you haven't gotten into the Word yet, when you go to read Scripture this morning, what is your motivation? Are you reading Scripture because you hope God will go, oh, goody, he's in the Bible, she's in the Bible, and so here's your reward, here's a treat. I'll let your day go by well. That's ridiculous. Let your motivation be out of love for him, and check your heart. This is huge. And don't condemn yourself, because I guarantee you, the majority of you, myself included, when I started this, I got into the Word for me because I wanted to gain knowledge, because I wanted God to be proud of me, happy with me, and so he would do something. But what if it was just about him? It wasn't about you and I at all. You say, God, I love you. I'm here to learn whatever you want me to learn. I don't have time to share with you what he's teaching me in the Word right now, but Please get this. When you worship, and think back on yesterday, Sunday, you're at church. Why? Why were you at church? Because mom and dad make me. Because I find that if I go to church, my week is better. Why is that? Is it because God throws you a bone? Check your heart. What is your motivation? I would say your week probably went better because you started by hanging out with someone that you like, that you love. When you worship Him, check your heart. Why are you doing it? Do you do it because you get these warm fuzzies? Do it because you got this great singing voice and you want everybody to hear you? Start doing it when nobody's around. Would you still do it? Check your heart. What is your motivation? And if it's not just pure love for Him, dig into that. Because when you find that, nothing, no one can shake you. And just go after it. Go deeper and deeper and deeper. Fall more in love with you. Fall more in love with Him. We're too in love with us. That's part of the problem. And that's why I say go after Him with everything. Because even once you fall in love with Him, there's no end to that. I mean, there is so much to Him. He is so vast and awesome that you will continue to find things to keep falling in love with Him about. And then one day, you and I will be in His glory for all of eternity. And we will never, for all of eternity, never run out of reasons to worship Him. That is awesome. So may your motivation be to fall in love with Him and to love the hell out of people around you with His love. Have an amazing week. God bless you guys. We'll catch you later.